While daffodils are my favorite springtime flower, unfortunately, I don't have any in my garden this year. I'm channeling my love for daffodils into crochet, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet the daffodil pattern. Stay to the end and I'm going to tell you a little story about the daffodils in our yard. To make the shawl, you will need 450 yards for the smaller version, which is what you'll see in this video, or 900 yards to double the length of your shawl for extra coziness. You can use a fingering weight hand-dyed yarn like I did. Mine is from Holly Press Fibers, or you could use a cotton to make it extra light. Red Heart Yarn has a beautiful fingering weight cotton called It's a Wrap. You can check that out using the link below. I also recommend looking at the Stroll fingering or Hawthorn fingering weight yarns from We Crochet. Their yarns are absolutely beautiful, affordably priced, and very good quality. I have always been happy with the yarns that I receive from We Crochet. Using our 3.5mm hook, I'm using furls, we'll make our foundation chain multiple of 26 plus 5. See the blog for the full pattern, it's linked down below. Working into your foundation chain, you're going to work 3 double crochet in the 5th chain from your hook. Your first chain 4, count as a double crochet, chain 1, here and throughout the pattern. Chain 5, skip 11 chains. In the next chain, work 2 double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. The yarn I'm using in this example is the Lindy chain from We Crochet. It is a linen cotton chainette yarn. Chain 1, and working into the next chain stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Chain 1, and working into the next chain, double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. This forms the foundation of the beautiful fans that adorn this shawl. You should have 5 chain spaces worked across these 3 chains that we've just worked into. This will set us up for the beautiful petals that come at the end of the fan. Chain 5, skip 11 stitches, work a shell in the next stitch. In this pattern, a shell is defined as double crochet 3, chain 1, double crochet 3 in the same stitch or space. Chain 5, skip 11. We're going to start setting up another fan. So, in the next chain, work 2 double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Just like before, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet 2 in the next chain stitch. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I'm struggling with my tension today, and I'm not really sure why. I've worked with this yarn plenty of times, but today it just seems to be slipping through my fingers and off my hook. We have our 5 chain spaces here in the base of this fan, and we're ready to move on to our next shell. Chain 5, skip 11, shell in the next stitch. After your shell, you will chain 5, skip 11, work the base of the fan across the next 3 chains, chain 5, skip 11, and then we'll do a half shell in the last stitch. You should have 3 fans, 2 shells, and 2 half shells. A half shell is 3 double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the last stitch of the row. Continue by chaining 4 and turning your work. Remember, your chain 4 at the beginning of each row counts as a double crochet, chain 1. Double crochet 3 in the first chain 1 space, and that completes the first half shell of this row. Chain 2. Now we're going to skip a lot of stitches, and in this pattern I'm not always going to tell you all the stitches that we skip, but I will tell you exactly where to place your next stitches. This is very common in lace patterns. Double crochet in each of the next 2 double crochet, chain 2. We will be skipping each of the chain 1 spaces and working only in the double crochets in the fans. Chain 2, double crochet in the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the next double crochet, and finally double crochet in the last 2 stitches. It should look something like this. Chain 2, shell in the next shell. We're skipping everything between the fan and the shell. We will only be working in those fan stitches and the shell stitches. Repeat this pattern, chain 2, working the fan stitches, chain 2, working the shell stitches, until you come to the last half shell. You may notice when doing a large skip, skipping a lot of stitches, your yarn over might tend to slip around, or your work might flip around, making it difficult to make a nice, tight, well-tensioned double crochet. I like to use my index finger to hold my yarn over firmly so it doesn't slide or go anywhere when I make a skip. Work a half shell in the chain space of the half shell at the end of the row. Chain 4, turn, double crochet 3 in the first chain space. Chain 2, skip your chain 2 space from the previous row, single crochet in the next double crochet, work a small shell in the chain 2 space. Skip the double crochet, work a small shell in the next chain 2 space, and continue that pattern across, working a single crochet in the first of the last 2 double crochet. Your fan should be mimicking the cheerful blooms of a daffodil at this point, the very ruffly kind. Chain 2, and in the next shell, 3 double crochet, chain 5, 3 double crochet. If you notice in the pattern that the video seems to take a couple of different steps than the written pattern, that's because I wasn't reading the pattern when I made this one. I'd already finished mine, written the pattern, had it tested and tech edited, and I was just going off of memory, which is my mistake, and now it's too late for me to go and make a new video in order for you to have this on time. So you could choose to do it the way exactly shown in the video and it will come out beautifully, or you can do it exactly as written in the pattern and it will still come out beautifully. The pattern says chain 5, I chained 3. After working in your shell, chain 2, and we're going to do exactly what we did in the last fan. And we're going to repeat the stitches we've already shown you until you reach the end. Work a half shell in the last half shell, 3 double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Over the next set of rows, we'll be working our fans over our shells and our shells over our fans so that they alternate. These will mimic the sprouting leaves bursting into bloom, like a daffodil. Chain 4, and working into your first chain 1 space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. We will be skipping all of the stitches right up to that center small shell, and we will be working our regular shell stitch into the very top center of the center shell. So chain 5, shell in the very top of that center small shell. Chain 5 and skip to the shell with the chain 5 in the center. 2 double crochet, chain 1, and then we're going to repeat that double crochet, chain 1 4 times, and 2 double crochet to finish off. You should have 5 chain 1 spaces. This is essentially the same process we used in our foundation chain when we set up the shell, except we're working all of the stitches that were worked across 3 chains into this chain 5 space. We are going to continue this pattern across chain 5, shell, in the center small shell from the previous row, chain 5, work the beginning of your fan in the chain 5 space of the shell from the previous row until you reach the last half shell. Chain 5, double crochet 2 in that last chain space, chain 1, double crochet 3 times in the chain 4 space and turn. This will give you 3 chain spaces in that last half shell. Chain 4 and turn. This row will be worked very similarly to row 2, except we're just alternating. So now the fans are where we did shells and the shells are where we did fans. So double crochet in the double crochet, chain 2, skip the chain, double crochet in the double crochet, chain 2, skip the chain, double crochet in the last 2 double crochet. Chain 2, skip to the shell, shell stitch in the shell. After the shell, chain 2, skip to the next double crochet in each of the next 2 double crochet, chain 2, skip the chain 1 space, double crochet in the double crochet, and repeat that until the last 2 double crochet in each of the last 2 double crochet. Repeat this pattern across until you come to the end of the row. Your shawl should be looking something like this, with the shells where the fans were and the fans where the shells were. After you complete your last shell, chain 2, double crochet in the next 2 double crochet, chain 2, skip the chain 1 space, double crochet in the double crochet, and repeat that to the end. Chain 3, 2 double crochet and single crochet in the chain 2 space. Skip the double crochet, small shell in the next chain 2 space. Skip the double crochet, small shell in the chain 2 space. Single crochet in the last double crochet, chain 2, skip the chain 2 space. Double crochet 3, chain 5, double crochet 3 in the next shell. Continue working in the pattern established. Chain 2, single crochet in the double crochet, small shell in each of the chain 2 spaces. And in the shell, work double crochet 3, chain 5, double crochet 3. This is what the full 6-row repeat looks like. In the next row, you'll pick up basically at row 1 again, working the fans over the shells and the shells over the fans, just like we showed you in row 4. But first, finish this row with a single crochet, double crochet 2 in the last chain space. Chain 4, double crochet 3 in the first stitch to form our first half shell. Chain 5 and skip to your shell. Work the foundation of a new fan in the chain 5 space. Chain 5 and skip to the center small shell. Work a shell stitch in the center small shell of the next fan. Continue in this manner across the row, working a half shell in the very last stitch. From here, you can simply repeat rows 2 through 7. 14 times for the shorter scarf shown, or 28 times for a fingertip shawl. And fasten off. Weave in your ends. And of course, a pattern with this much lace definitely needs blocking. Daffodils greet the spring with glorious purpose. Full of bright joy and heavenly scent, they bounce in the frigid sunlight of early spring, sending tidings of warmer weather to winter-weary souls. Last spring, while planning our garden, I informed my husband that we would be ordering several hundred daffodil bulbs to plant in the fall, so their bright colors would greet us the next spring, just when I was sick and tired of the cold. However, the year took a very different turn than we expected. Our fall was packed tightly, hosting my sister's wedding and recovering from the work we put into it. Suffice it to say, we did not plant hundreds of daffodils. As the weather has started to warm up here, their cheerful faces are missing from my garden. The other day, out with my children in our yard, to my surprise and joy, I found one lonely daffodil sprouting in our yard. I rejoiced to see its golden glow, and so did my son. I had initially decided to leave it. Don't pick this one. Let it stay out in the sunshine for us to see every time we leave the house. But my son had a different idea. Overcome with joy at seeing the biggest flower he had seen in our yard so far this year, he plucked it and brought it to me, beaming with joy and pride at the huge flower he had found. Initially, I have to admit, I felt a moment of disappointment that he had picked my one daffodil. But another thought quickly followed. I plant flowers in our garden to bring us joy. Not just me, but for our entire family. Of course, how could I feel downcast when I looked into my son's eyes brimming with joy? We placed his daffodil in a vase in his room, and he woke each morning and started the day with happiness when he saw his flower. I want to encourage you, the way this moment encouraged me, to not let ourselves become downcast by moments of disappointment or minutes of discouragement or negativity, like reading a single negative comment on a social media post or one thing that doesn't go right. Instead of finding those negative things to be disappointed in, let's find those small moments of joy and let those moments impact our hearts and our mindset with greater magnitude than we allow negativity to affect us. Finally, I'd like to show you a couple ways you can wear this. The shorter version can be tied as a gentle scarf, and I've worn it this way a few times. If you prefer the infinity scarf look, you can take two corners and tie them together gently, or pin them if you prefer, if you don't want to seam it and have it permanently as an infinity scarf. Tied this way, I simply drape it around my neck once and give it a fluff and it's good to go. Or, alternatively, you can double wrap it for a nice, light, close-fitting piece of lace.